Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine.
Welcome to episode 540 of Fourth and Jawn. I'm Gail Saunders here with Tim Armstrong and our special guest of the night, Dominic Ambrose. He is a scouting assistant for NFL Draft Bible. You know, we figured we bring in some big guns for this episode. Obviously, this is, we're going to nerd it out tonight. We've been on a little sabbatical. What kind of sabbatical you might ask? We've been down at the Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl is a great opportunity to network with guys like Dom. Tim joined us on his first trip down to Mobile, Alabama, but it's been a great time just trying to figure out some of these next prospects that we're going to start talking about in draft seasons. Obviously, if you don't love the draft, this will not be the episode for you. But if you do, this is they say that the draft starts in Mobile. And I think that's what we're going to do, man. We're going to just talk about some of the draft prospects that stood out to us. I know a lot of people asked, when we were down there 2 years ago, who's this Quinyon Mitchell you guys are talking about? I mean, this is how it started. This is how you find the next great ones. I mean, Tim. I mean, overall, I mean, this is your first crack at the Senior Bowl. How was your trip?
Not being a seasoned vet like some of you guys who have gone, I definitely had a good time. You guys warned me, or I was warned beforehand. They gave me a heads up, like there's a lot to take in, there's a lot going on. Day one, my ADHD brain was firing on all cylinders. It was a good time because you got full circuit practice going on, everything's going on. But then as you start to get into the practices, as the days go on, you start to realize that, all right, I want to focus on this today. I want to take a look on this tomorrow. You start to lock in, especially with us being diehard Birds fans. Dom, who is not a fan of a particular team, but respects the draft process. So it's fun to talk to him about all things NFL related, but to be able to lock in on things that we saw as positions of need to start to dial in was a good time. I had a really good time for my first trip down.
And what about you, Dom? I mean, you're a pretty much regular down there by now. If you watch Dom walk around the practices, Dom knows a lot of people, and he's talking to a lot of people. I mean, what was your feelings about overall about this Senior Bowl week?
I mean, it seems like it was just here last year's draft wasn't too long ago. You know, it's flew by, and we're already at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I think the Senior Bowl, man, it's a perfect opportunity to kind of figure out where draft prospects their stock is. You know, there's guys that are on the fringe. People are wondering where some players are at, but then you see the smaller school guys go up against some of the bigger school guys and take them to the woodshed. That's when you're like, okay, this small school guy has got some. And I think just going into the draft, going into the Mobile, I think the biggest first storyline, we'll get it out of the way. I mean, the whole thing with the Diego Pavia with his him being 5'9", I think.
Yeah.
There's 6'7" jokes out there, but 5'9" was a thing for the majority of the first practice. I don't think anyone could stop talking about Diego.
5'9" and 7/8. He was almost 5'10", almost.
Yeah.
Just shy.
So I mean, is Diego ready for the NFL, or is the NFL not ready for a 5'9" quarterback? I mean, the Doug Flutys of the world. Who else is 5'9" ish? It's just, I mean, the Todd McShays of the world said Diego is not fit for the NFL. I mean, the draft pundits were attacking the man's character earlier and often.
I mean, is he talented? Yes. But I think the Senior Bowl showed that he's not a quarterback that can play from the pocket. You know, you're going to have a lot of rollouts with him and a lot of play actions with him. But 5'9", personally, if I was building a team, scares me.
What now? Diego Pavia is a third string quarterback, practice squad guy. or UDFA? Are you not taking a flyer on Pavia as an undrafted free agent?
No, I think he'll wind up getting drafted just because of the value that's there. But that could change based on how he interviews with the teams.
Yeah.
You know, going into the Senior Bowl, I thought he was probably destined to maybe even go the Doug Flutie route and make a name for himself in the CFL before he tries the NFL.
I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, Doug Flutie did flourish in the CFL for a little bit, right? How many years was he in the CFL? It was funny because we saw the Pavias at a restaurant. We were having breakfast, and we look over. I was like, "That is got to be his brother. It's got to be his mom." And then we ended up sitting next to them in the stands as well. So obviously, Senior Bowl, you get to see a lot of the prospects' families, their support system. And again, as much as people were talking smack, I was actually rooting them on to see them do good. I mean, at the end of the day, I really want to see a lot of these prospects flourish. But tonight we're going to kind of like talk about some of the prospects that stood out to us, and kind of give you some names where you can go ahead and do your own homework. You know, if you want to find out some of these prospects as we learn about them through the draft process. We still have a long time. April's months away. But obviously, what either one of you guys, what quarterback stood out the most to you guys?
And you want to go, Tim?
I mean, Altmaier for me, honestly, because, and if anybody doesn't know, he's similar to Pavia, a little bit taller in size, about the same build. He's a little bit stronger arm, in my opinion, but the biggest thing is he came in with a solid college career, not to the caliber of what Pavia did in the last 2 seasons, but he came in with something to show. And you could kind of tell with his swagger on the field that he was there trying to define who he was as a quarterback. So when he was stepping and running the quarterbacks, you saw a little pop in his step. You saw him running through drills. So the other quarterbacks, Nussmeier, we saw him there. I mean, he was highlighted as the top QB prospect that showed up this year. It wasn't a heavy QB class at the Senior Bowl this year, which a lot of people gave the description to me that not being such a heavy QB class, you were able to focus on a lot of the other strength positions, whether it be the defensive, offensive trenches, whether it be the specialty positions. But, I mean, the kid from North Dakota State, he kind of stood out as well, too, because he came in as another one where, who is this? What can he do? And then day one, you see him slinging the rock, and you're like, okay, this kid can play ball.
What about you, Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Peyton Cole or Cole Peyton from North Dakota State.
Yep.
I think he probably impressed me the most. You got North Dakota State being an FCS school, but with a solid QB pedigree, so you know he's going to get well coached. Nussmeier, I didn't see any sort of like wow moment from him. But like Tim said, with a weaker class, I don't think he needed to have a wow moment to have a solid draft stock going or heading into the combine and everything. But Taylon Green impressed me too, the quarterback from Arkansas. He looked a little awkward at first, but like first practice jitters kind of got out of the way, and he was pretty smooth with his deliveries and showcasing his mobile ability.
I know some of the beat writers for the Eagles had mentioned as Taylon Green being an option later rounds for a developmental quarterback for the Eagles, perhaps. I mean, he did show off some speed. He's a tall player. Actually had one of the longest throws out there. But I think Garrett Nussmeier, just being a consistent player down at the Senior Bowl, really did, I think, solidify him as the best one out there. I think him having a off season, I think he improves. I guess he improves his stock a little bit. I think, obviously, I believe he dealt with some injuries. So I think in terms of QBs, I think he flourished in the Senior Bowl game. Now the game, a lot of people were like, "Hey man, you missed the game, man." We had to get it. Let me start off with getting down to the Senior Bowl. for everyone, not just us. Everyone had their own travel story. We got stuck on we got stuck in Philly on the runway for about an hour before we left. They had to de-ice the plane. Prior to that, our flights got canceled, so we endured two flights being canceled while in Philly. Get on the plane, stuck on the runway for about an hour. Finally get to Charlotte. We're feeling good. Tim's pounding. He said, "Hey man, we made it, man. We're Charlotte, man." Next thing you know, 10 hours later, stuck in Charlotte, questioning life. We finally make it to Pensacola. We get to Pensacola, and we drive 45 minutes from there, and we made it. But it was a test of he obviously you're like, how bad do you love this stuff? And obviously we do. So I mean, I know Dom, you drove what 10 hours from Nashville?
No, it's about 5.5. So, but it was right before the snowstorm hit Nashville, so had to make it happen.
This year, probably about, I'd say there were 60% of people at the practices. I'd maybe 50% of people at the practices versus previous years. Do you agree?
The first day, yeah, I think travel kind of impeded it because I saw a lot more people at that second and third day of practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an interesting scene out there.
There was a lot of people skating in late because day one, you guys had talked about how many people were going to be there from the media, and I was like, all right, we got there day one. I'm like, there's a lot of space here.
Mm-hmm.
And then come day two, a lot of people started creeping in saying, flight just landed. A lot of people coming in late. I mean, it was pretty hectic. I mean, it was well organized. I thought it was decently ran as far as keeping everybody in the right mind frame and where they needed to be. But travel was no joke. Luckily, this was not my first airplane ride. I've been through this before, so Gail and I kind of weathered the storm, no pun intended, together, which was good. Which was an interesting ride.
We had to leave.
The players too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players had to come in on. They had to redirect everyone's flights.
Yeah, I mean, I know the guy said, or Drew said, 175 player flights got changed.
Yeah, 36 players backed out of the Senior Bowl, so that was a lot of prospects that we did homework on, but didn't show up. And again, everyone's got their own reasons, and I'm not going to judge anyone. But shout out to Joe Castro in the building. He says, "What up, boys?" If you didn't see our photo here, Joe Castro looking there. Look at him, he's looking sharp. We had Mike in the back. Dynasty Dogs, and then the myth, the man, the legend himself, Dom in the middle. Definitely cold weather down there in the scene in Mobile. Obviously, sometimes you get 80-degree weather. Sometimes you get 30-degree weather, 40-degree weather in Mobile. So people were not really excited about the cold. We came back to Philly, and it was about 8 degrees.
It was 8 degrees when we landed. Yep. Felt like -4. Felt like -4, according to the weather.
But we did, before we get into it, we did get the beloved crawfish before we got out of there. The waitresses all knew we were in the house because we stopped there every year, and crawfish was good. Speaking of good, I'm going to go with a player that you guys should know more about and go watch his game. Malachi Fields from Notre Dame, originally from Virginia, transferred to Notre Dame. Big target. I think his size, you're talking about what, he's 6'3", 6'4". I was really going into the process, going down there, I told Tim, I said, yo, man, I'm checking out. I checked out Jacoby Lane, and I checked out Malachi Fields, and I really need to get some interviews. Didn't get Malachi, but I did get Jacoby Lane. But speaking of Malachi Fields, I think he was the most polished as a future X, making some real big plays out there, stretching. We're talking about full extension for the ball, high pointing the ball. I think he got off press. He's a big dude, man. Like, go check him out. Malachi Fields. Anyone else feeling Malachi Fields from Notre Dame?
Yeah, I liked what I saw from him. I mean, he's not going to necessarily wow you with speed, but he's got the physicality and the craftiness to just separate.
I mean, I saw decent amount of Notre Dame games this year, so I kind of knew what to expect. He didn't let anybody down. So let me say that. Like, people, when he went in there was a certain expectation that was built for Malachi Fields. He definitely lived up. There were certain spots where everybody's like, "Where's he at? Where's he at?" And then deep throw, middle of the field, went up. It was a really nice catch, and it kind of got everybody's attention fired back up. And then the rest of the week, I thought he shined. After that play.
Other plays that did shine, another guy who really stood out, Ty Montgomery. Now, I think overall, when you say a wide receiver who's shining down there, you're not thinking a D3 wide receiver from John Carroll University. I don't think anyone knows where John Carroll University is unless you're that much of a psychopath. But Tyron Montgomery is a guy who you need to do your homework on. All right, Tyron Montgomery, a guy who his story is crazy. Now let me, for a guy who was a former walk-on basketball player at LSU. He had a brother who was a quarterback for Eastern Kentucky, who ends up becoming his brother's go-to receiver as he's practicing. He's throwing dots to his brother, and his brother says, "Hey man, you should be a wide receiver. You should be a wide receiver." And he's like, "Ah," and they laughed it off. And then, long story short, he didn't have any film, so he's sending footage of him running routes, like flag football stuff. He ends up like dominating in flag football. He almost gets on the USA flag football team for the Olympics, but they told him if he played in the Olympics, he would lose his eligibility. So he ends up going to he goes to Nichols, and then he goes to Houston. Doesn't do anything, sits, and then he transfers to John Carroll, a D3 school, balls out, and the rest is history. And let me tell you, kid balled out, man. Balled out for, I mean, he had his last day, he had a couple drops, but the first 2 days, dude, Montgomery was like, there's a guy from San Diego, cornerback Chris Johnson, who's a pretty solid cornerback going into the draft, and he mossed him in the back of the end zone. We're just talking in different levels of competition. He told me that he had a lot of zone coverage in D3. He said the amount of man he saw this week was more than he's ever seen, and he showed and went to work.
Yeah, I mean, Tyron Montgomery caught everybody's attention day one because you always hear the stories of the small school players that get invited to the Senior Bowl, and you wonder if they're legit or not. Nobody knew who he was, but he stepped on the field in his first couple routes. Everybody was saying, "Who's the kid from Boston College?" Because if people don't know, John Carroll D3 school has a very similar paint job to Boston College, slightly different, but if you're just looking first glance, definitely looks like BC. So everybody's like, "Who's the kid?" Everybody's looking at their papers, looking at their sheets, and they figure out it's the D3 kid from John Carroll. Then they just continued to watch him throughout the first couple of days, and you saw why he was invited there. It was flat out. Like, you saw why he got the invite. The kid could play ball. He definitely moved his stock up. And it's a Cinderella story. Everybody loves that Cinderella story, including the other kid that got the invite from South Alabama. they both showed up, and they showed they were of the caliber to play with these kids from these huge teams, these Clemsons, Tennessees, Penn State, like all these monster schools, Georgias, all these schools that everybody watches on Saturday that's on ESPN. They were able to hold their own.
Here's I put up a picture of I mean, if you look at him right there, it looks like a Boston College wide receiver. But that's John Carroll. Okay. John Carroll. Yeah, I mean, he had a great story, man. He was just telling me how his mom he had to take care of his mom who was sick. That was also part of his journey. And he said that she passed away, and he's kind of like his mom. This was like her dream. So she was like, I'm like kind of like living out her dream. So he's out there like really just, just vibing. And it's great to see players like that succeed. Going down the position group, any other wide receivers that you want to talk about? Anyone that stood out to you guys?
I mean, for me, the duo from Texas Tech stood out. Both of them just ran every which way they could to get open, beat the defenders, and make catches.
That was Reggie Virgil from Texas Tech.
Uh-huh.
Who's the other Texas Tech wide receiver?
Caleb Douglas.
Yeah. Okay. So those are two names to look at: Reggie Virgil, Caleb Douglas. Caleb Douglas was one of the bigger targets out there. I think it was there's so many guys that looked. I was just like, they all looked like the same player. Some of them,
Yeah,
I was just like,
style.
For the most part, I think who else was standing out for Josh?
I mean, one of the
wide receiver from Baylor. If you're looking for a bigger target, bigger wide receiver, Josh Cameron, he kind of looked like a running back out there wearing the 34 jersey. I think Josh Cameron, another guy I have to do more homework on. Ted Hurst, wide receiver from Georgia State. He was one of the players who everyone was talking about, like prior to the Senior Bowl. Like he's the guy to look at. I definitely think he showed that he was polished, lanky wide receiver. When he runs, he looks like I'm just saying when he runs, he looks a little bit like Randy Moss, a little upright, lanky. I'm not saying he's Moss, okay? I'm just saying if you go back and watch some highlights and some of his cut ups, he has a couple runs where he's just like a long strider type. But Jacoby Lane from USC, another guy who I was hoping to see what he brought to the table. Lanky, wasn't as strong at the catch point as I want him to be, but obviously everyone is not gonna have the best camp out there. Any other wideouts you guys want to mention before we move on?
Well, I think with Lane, what stood out was his leaping ability. He just like jumped out of the arena almost to catch balls. So.
Shout out to Nuri, says definitely looks like Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, it's hard to I'm not gonna even mess up the word. It's hard to tell the difference between some of these players out there. And then yeah, there you go. Especially when every practice is like you go to practice and you got like 2.5 hours or something, and you're like, I'm gonna watch this position today, and then you see screaming going on the other side of the field and people are just yelling, and then you go like, well, I gotta go over there and watch that. So it's hard to like actually focus on one position throughout the day, but obviously people do it. I brought shout out to man. She let me use her lens. The lens was fantastic. Stepped up my camera game. Obviously, there's so many shots that I still haven't gone through, but got some really good ones with our coach. Coach Singleton was out there, and Coach Hurt was out there, who was the coach of the national team or American.
National. Eagles were on the national.
I know you were high on the energy from the national practice.
I was big on it, and I'll be honest, the game did not show how the practices ran because I watched the game back. Gail, did you finally watch it back yet? Are we allowed to talk about it?
Oh, the game? Are there vampires in it?
No vampires. But the thing was, the practices for me, the national practice, it felt like it had the players juiced up. It felt like it had them going. Now, if you understand your players, I mean, the American coach was the linebacker coach from the Saints. If he ran his practice under understanding his personnel, he did a fantastic job. Because if that's what the feel in the locker room and the vibe was like, then he had it out of the park. But the vibe for me from the national practice, just it felt like you were there for a game. It didn't feel like it was a walkthrough.
Did you say fantastic?
I did say fantastic. It was fantastic.
Inside joke. As we were watching back our interviews, obviously we're still posting some of the interviews that we had as we're editing them. Tim's favorite word was fantastic in some of the interviews.
It was my filler word in between questions. I would just say, "Okay, fantastic." Figure that out.
I mean, how did you feel interviewing some of these prospects?
I wasn't nervous about it. I just wasn't. Gail decided, just threw me to the wolves in a good way. First interview we tried to go get, he goes, "Well, here's the mic. Have at it." I was like, oh, okay. I'm not ready. I got to get running.
But they say when you want to teach your kid how to swim, you throw him in the deep end, right?
Yeah,
I was swimming.
Oh, you were killing it, man. I mean, obviously, to get some of these interviews, you got to fight. You got to box out. I had this woman from the Saints media team who was she just kept sticking her mic in our shot, and I was like, lady, could you just move back? Because they take some of your interview and they use your own. They use your interview as part of their own, and you're like, could you stop what they call it, scrumming off your content? But it is what it is. It is what it is. Again, any other? We'll move right along to the running backs. I think for me, Mike Washington, running back from Arkansas, he had a solid week. Obviously, on the zebra technology, hit one of the fastest times. I think what is he, over 20 miles an hour?
Yeah, I think it was in that 21 mile an hour range.
Him and Randall were top of the board for running backs overall, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Washington was like second overall on either team.
Yeah, just flat out, yeah.
Yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know, the zebra technology, I was not ready for that. That was next level. I know all these things exist, and you know that somebody's watching them in every aspect of every game. But to see where the cameras are set up, to see where the sensors are placed on the players and realize it's inside the ball, and they were putting it right up on the screen. These things were happening, and boom, right away you're seeing speeds, how many yards they ran in the day. You know what I mean? What this guy did here, it was really well ran from that perspective. I definitely like the tech piece.
Another guy who stood out, I think a lot of people were surprised that he was there. Kalen Black from Indiana. You win a national championship, you win a natty. You don't think you're going to see a player out there. And I think his story coming from James Madison, I think his year with Indiana the year before wasn't as spectacular or fantastic as Tim would say, but his final season with Indiana, goes over 1,000 yards, has the dream scenario winning a natty for Indiana, a dream season for Indiana, which is crazy. And then he comes to the Senior Bowl, has a good Senior Bowl. He had an interview with Tim and talked about his where he was at, and he said it was perfect time for him to come. It felt like his body was good. Were you surprised that Dom? Were you surprised that he was out there?
I was, having, like you said, just come off the national title game, but then the more I thought about it, I wasn't, because he wasn't the top back or the lead back for Indiana. So he was still healthy. And, relatively low WAR because they were in a shared backfield. But then I was looking at it from a scout's point of view and a team's point of view, and that's what I want to see. He's like ready to go for the next round after coming off a championship.
I mean, my big takeaway from that is I agree with you, Dom, on that. But my biggest thing is there's always a question with college players, especially if they don't make it into the playoff system, is how they're going to hold up for the entire NFL season, if they're going to be able to make it to a 17-game stretch. Any scout who was there and saw him running the ball, they were able to recognize real quickly this guy. To Dom's point, not as many reps in the game, but he did a full 17-game season plus this. So he technically played a playoff game. You know what I mean? So this guy definitely showed that his body can hold up at the next level. And if I'm somebody looking for something like that, I definitely am paying attention to how he felt and how he looked, because he turned to me and he said, I feel great. And shout out to some of the other Miami guys who also showed out. There was a couple other guys who showed out because they were 6 days removed from a national championship. That is commitment. That is love for the game. I mean, there's so many things you could say about that alone.
I mean,
commitment and wanting to continue to learn and hone your craft too, you know.
I also think it sucks when you get, you know, you get blown up by Derek Moore.
When you go viral a little bit.
It's a tough scene out there. I mean, I'm just gonna paint the picture. Just being a prospect and putting yourself out there and trying to get good tape, and just imagine everyone in a room with a camera pointed at you and waiting for either you to make a big play or make a big mistake. And what happens when you make a big mistake? They put it on the internet. So every draft scout gets to look at what you put on tape, even if it's one rep. And the Miami tackle, was it Bell?
Yeah, Markel Bell.
He got blown up by Derek Moore, and you know, if you go watch the interview we posted on our YouTube Shorts, Tim had a great question. Didn't say fantastic. It was a fantastic question that he had. Just the way that he answered it like a pro. I was like, bro, it's like. He's like, you know, because you asked, what was the question that you asked him? I'll let him.
Being that it went viral, and that could have been anybody's, you know, Mount Everest for that senior week. Is you have your viral moment, you're hoping everybody looked at it, what his thought process was moving forward and how he's going to stay focused on the game. And the fact that Derek Moore gave a shout out to Bell and said, I got him that rep, but watch the rest of the tape, because he said Bell was giving him problems the entire rest of the week when they lined up one-on-one. But he gave him props, and then he said his biggest focus was it's one play. It happens. He said, I was focused on the next one and listening to the coaches and how I was going to develop. Really good answers. And I like the fact that he was real. Maybe slipped one or two cusses out. You know what I mean? He was being real. He was being comfortable. I did like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad curses. So anybody that's going to check it out, wasn't the worst, but it begins with an SH. So don't be surprised if you got kids running around. But at the same time, he was being real. He was being 100% human, which when you're talking to some of these guys, you don't want to feel robotic and too prepped. And he was just, he put it all out there. That's exactly how I felt.
Now a question from Alpha Knight 19491. Where do you see Mike Washington get drafted? He says, I see him as a round 3-4 pickup. Right now, I think that's a good potential. I think I always call the Senior Bowl mid-round university for my running backs, because that's where, you know, you find what's this Kyle Monangai with the Bears.
Yeah,
had a great season. Where did he get drafted? From Rutgers. What, 7th round? Look at the production. That's why, I mean, however you build your running back group, you can get players from anywhere. And I think looking at some of these backs here, this is the perfect area to get your prospects. Question from Joe. He says, if y'all had to draft 3 kids from the Senior Bowl to start for Philly, who would y'all taken? Mm.
I mean, I have 3 in mind. I mean, I'm a trenches guy. We were lucky enough to get an interview with him, and he was another one great interview. Jennings Dunker out of Iowa. Everybody knows what you're getting out of offensive lineman out of Iowa. It's a certain pedigree. It's a certain built by coaches, and they understand what it's like to play at the next level. So Jennings Dunker for offense, which he said, tackle or guard, wherever they need me. I can play both. I like that a lot. Defensive side, I watched the game. I watched some of the film back. Overton as a possible D tackle, showing what he did when the lights turned on. I watched him a lot in one-on-ones, and this is LT out of Alabama. I thought he did well. There were some of your shining stars, but you think they're going to go first round. So I'm looking realistically where we'd possibly be able to pick them up. And then from a defensive end side or a wide receiver side, I did like Moore. I think he could slide in. You know what I mean? So if I was to stamp 3, I would go Dunker, Overton, and Moore. I'd like 2 defensive guys and then go with an offensive lineman.
Interesting. I'm bringing up a picture, as you know. I got a lot of pictures that I have to share, but this is Jennings Dunker. It's funny, in his interview, he said Tim asked him about what do you think of the competition? I was like, a lot of quick cats out here. It was just like, if you haven't seen Jennings Dunker, I guess some scouts are like, I don't know what he's going more viral for his look than his actual play, and I'm like, I thought his play was leaving there. I think Jennings Dunker, if you could get him in the second round, that would be fantastic, as Tim would say. I think it's a good opportunity to think about his right guard, right tackle versatility and be like, yo, can he start over Steen? I think he's got the athleticism. I think I'm not mad at it. I think he's a guy also teammates with
Coop
DeJean. He said he was neighbors with Cooper DeJean. He said that they actually did a work an
fundraiser, such an event. Yeah, fundraiser this offseason.
He just seems like an Eagle guy. Like if you talk to Landon Dickerson, if you're looking for the quirky, corn-fed eating guard, I think you wouldn't be mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm trying to bring up a photo of him, so give you the understanding of what he looks like.
I'm gonna let Dom, but there's another offensive lineman that I did not take a look at until probably the last 2 days of practice. Was it Dom? And he was lined up next to Dunker because I kind of had my eyes on him. And then Dom was like, "Hey, take a look at that guy playing right next to him." So is that somebody you think, Dom, was he on your list, or am I
Oh no, he's very much on my list. I mean, he wowed me.
Let everyone know his name.
Yeah, we're talking about Jalen Farmer. He's a guard from Kentucky. Talking about, like you mentioned with Dunker, that guard tackle versatility. We saw him take reps at tackle during the Senior Bowl, but just manhandled every defensive lineman that was thrown at him, including double teams, quite easily. I mean, he's going to be a plug-and-play starter for someone.
I was trying to look at some of the undersized centers out there because obviously you always think undersized center. You think Jason Kelsey, in a perfect world. Jake Slaughter, center for Florida, was getting some love out there. And then Brockenmeyer from Miami.
Yep.
Another guy that, again, we're not talking, you're talking later rounds potentially. This is where you're trying to find the gems, guys that could step in and give you a role, be a role player. So I mean, obviously, I think people are just looking for those gems, and obviously today we're talking about some of the gems. Any other? He asked for another player that you think he would start. Start.
I mean, I like Sam Hecht from Kansas State if we're still talking trenches.
Sam Hecht, okay.
Yeah, I think he could be a good plug and play kind of guard. Interior line, we saw him take reps at guard, and I think he took some reps at center as well. So there's that versatility there. Probably fits in more naturally as a guard, but can fill in at center in a pinch or in an injury or whatever,
Now,
what about you? Got anybody, or did we hit on most?
When you say start, that's a bold word. It's a bold word.
That is.
If you're gonna say maybe a corner that could potentially, if you're saying take over for Adoree Jackson, maybe a Chris Johnson from San Diego State. I'm not gonna say dominated. He looked smooth out there. Looked like he didn't have a panic button. I mean, obviously, he got outdone by Tyron Montgomery in the back of the end zone. It wasn't such a Moss like as everyone was saying, but it was a very good play on him. I think the cornerback from Tennessee, Colton Hood is a potential guy who's been getting mocked in the first, but I think, again, if you didn't play like Quinyon Mitchell out there, just bump the brakes a little bit. Top of the second, mid-second, just saying. Like you just, if you're a first-round corner, you got to take over. And again, a couple guys mentioned that.
From what you said to me from last year, Quinyon Mitchell got shut down after like his first day or second day. They're like, "Hey, you're done practicing." I don't think there was anybody.
A couple of days, didn't he?
Yeah, there's guys there a couple of days, but I don't know. I don't think he played all the way through till the game, though.
Yeah, somebody said he shined so much that they were like, "Hey, you're good." I was talking to one of the guys there, and they said he made it to maybe Thursday, didn't play in the game, didn't practice, was just like, "You're good." And there wasn't too many guys that got shut down. There was some guys that we thought were going to shut themselves down, but for the most part, everybody played through.
Did Derek Moore from Michigan? He played in the game, didn't he?
He played, yeah.
Which is shocking. Not shocking, but I mean, did TJ Parker play? He didn't play.
No, I don't think so.
He practiced the whole week, so that was one of the guys we thought was going to shut it down after day 2 because he had kind of etched himself up. But once again, we had to exit. We had to leave, so we missed the game, unfortunately.
Shout out to Sean. He mentioned Brian Parker. He says, "Do you guys think we talk to Brian Parker from Duke? How about this kid Calabaterian, tackle from was that Northwestern? These two guys, I'll definitely have to do more work on. I'm still in the beginning phases, but I think if we're looking for a tackle that I think Eagles would try and develop, I would think the offensive tackle from Arizona State, Max. It's a tough name to pronounce. Okay.
Nope, not going to try it.
Ihanachor, Max Ihanachor. Okay, it's spelled Iheanachor. Offensive tackle from Arizona State. You could see him potentially as
on Tiernan. Mm-hmm. I still want to see more game film on him, but I mean, I saw him hold his own against Michigan in that game that they had. So I mean, the young man can play,
But moving right along, man. Some other positions. I like that question from Joe, fellow Senior Bowl attendee. The tight end position. That's the position where I was stalking a little bit. Not in a bad way, but just trying to figure out who potentially could be our mid-round tight ends prospects. And I was just like, let me just pick 3 that I feel like could be potentially that dude. Justin Joly. It looks like Joly, but it's Joly. Great vibes. Very good character. Talked about his history of the position and new guys. For kid his age, he's talking about Tony Gonzalez and referencing, all different types of players. I think, I use that question a lot with some of the prospects just to kind of see if they're like locked into the players before them. Do they watch the game? Do they love it like that, or is it this? Is it just they got the talent? Is it they just like I'm not gonna put them on blast, just HOPEline. But I asked about a process. I said, build me 5. I said, build me your perfect, wide receiver using some players before you kind of, and he's just like, me. And I was like, bro, come on, man.
I froze. I was behind the camera and I just went, I don't know what to do next. Like, that was it.
Yeah, that was just like, okay. But I mean, speaking of Justin Joly, transferred from UConn. He's originally from Brewster. I went to school in Danbury. I was talking about him being a Brewster kid, and he was excited to talk about his journey to NC State. I think he had some good answers. The vibe was, he had a couple. I don't think he took over the Senior Bowl, but he had some good moments. And another tight end you want to talk about?
I think the kid from Stanford probably made the most headway out of the tight end group. I mean, good route runner, great hands, big target for quarterbacks in the red zone and across the middle too. So Sam Roush.
Yeah, Sam Roush, a great interview. He talked about he talked about his position coach being a guy that he learned how to block from. He'd want his blocking skills. He said that his 40 time, Dorian Anderson, if you he was a combine warrior.
I looked it up. 4.41.
But I asked him. I said, if you could score a touchdown by catching a slant, running someone over for a touchdown, toe drag swag in the back of the end zone for a touchdown, or sealing the edge and flattening a defensive end while his running back scores, he said, I selfishly would like to catch a slant and run somebody over. Justin Joly said, I would like to catch a fade in the back of the end zone, toe drag swag, game over. I also spoke to Tanner Koziel from Houston. Do your homework. Go check him out. He was a transfer from Ball State, Balsahard University. Had a stint at Wisconsin. Didn't work out. There's some rumors out there. I'm not going to spread rumors. But ended up in Houston. 6'7". I started off with a 6'7" joke. I said, are you tired of the 6'7" jokes? He said, nah, it's still kind of funny. He's built like a wide receiver, but he's kind of he's got crazy size. But Tanner Koziel, check him out. What did you guys think of Tanner Koziel?
I mean, I think he improved during the week. You talk about like those first day jitters, and you saw it a little bit with him just running awkwardly and not quite knowing where to go after just getting the plays and everything. But he got more comfortable and grew and moved up, or stepped up, I should say. Yeah.
Again, this is what the Senior Bowl is for. It's about seeing how these prospects work in this situation. And I think it'll be interesting. If we're looking for a blocking tight end, I was telling a lot of these tight end prospects, I was like, yo, Eagles don't have tight ends. It's like we got your boy Jaheim Bell. on the roster. FSU, a little fullback, H-back vibe. So think about it, right? If the Eagles know, this is interesting. We're going deep pull here. If they're trying to go with a new offensive system, right? They think they know where they're going. They got Jaheim Bell on the roster. Are they looking for a particular type of H-back guy for their play action?
Would it be a play action, or would it be more, like you said, that inline hand in the dirt?
Dialing up some of those Shanahan types.
Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk role, perhaps. Sean says Averon Terrell Davidson Igbinosin, who was definitely feisty, long corner that was down to Senior Bowl. Definitely have to do more work on Terrell, but I've seen Avian Terrell being mocked to the Eagles in some drafts. Have you guys seen any mocks?
I haven't looked at a mock yet.
I've looked at a few.
Sean says, if we don't get Kenyon Sadiq, I'd like to get the kid Claire from Ohio State or Trigg from Baylor. Thoughts on them guys? Sadiq would be nice.
That fit in that kind of utility, because he'd lined up anywhere for Oregon.
But
I think he's going first. I think he's going first round, don't you think?
Yeah. But I'm not. I don't really want to throw that capital in a tight end early. You?
No, I do not. So I mean, I respect the names that he put out there. I'm not arguing with them that they're top notch, but the one thing that I think there's other points of necessity that we have, and I personally have at a higher value that we need to focus on than these points at a tight end.
And that's why I look at those prospects that we're talking about, because those are guys that are going to be later, the bottom of the top 10 rankings of tight end groups. Because I feel like, trench warfare, you got to get younger and cheaper on offense.
But I mean, the guys we looked at this week, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are the guys we're looking for: the Jalix Hunts, the Ajomos. You know what I mean? Your guys that are going to be role players that fill in and turn into something year 2, year 3. You're not your first rounders who you're expecting to come right off and start. So position of necessity, which I think a lot of people can agree: offensive line, cornerback. And then it's kind of where you want to go after that. It's dealer's choice, but those are the ones I think we focus on in the first round. Personally.
Shout out to Big Sean 73 says, "What's up, fellas? Go Birds. Would Malachi Fields make sense for the Eagles in our new offense? What round do you see him going? TJ has him as top 50 prospect. I looked him at as a mid-round prospect. I was thinking 3rd, 4th. I think he made himself some money this week. A lot of the GMs, scouts were high on his play. I saw Daniel Jeremiah mentioned that he said that bottom of the 1st, he mentioned about potential. And I was like, come on, then you easy, get me. I like him. Like, you could ask Tim. Malachi Fields is the guy that I said, this is the guy that I'm watching for. Malachi Fields. How I didn't get an interview, that we'll never know. Got boxed out for an interview.
I was going to say, we do know how. We do know how.
Hey, you get on those fields after practice, and they rope you like cattle, and they try to get you out of there in 10 minutes. And it's like you're fighting people for interviews. Didn't get the interview. A little upset, but I'm happy for him. I think he could potentially be. I'd still back at the beginning of the 3rd. 2nd, he's a 2-3 range right now. I think that's where I would like, if I was going to, I'd be more comfortable with being a 3-4, but that's not happened not after what he put on. So we'll see. Shout out to Cousin Kiki in the building. Moving right along, man. Some other prospects we'd like to talk about. Let's see. We got on Jennings Dunker. We talked about Jalen Farmer.
Well,
Some bad news. Nick Singleton. I know Tim was throwing his "We Are" fandom all over some of these interviews. A little bit. He gets
Never said
Singleton.
it. Never said it. Wait until the end.
I'm a Big
Wait
Ten
until the
guy.
end. I'm a big fan.
Ten
I
guy.
said I'm a Big Ten fan. What is the most rowdy stadium you played in? Never told him who, but 2 out of the 3 answered correctly.
Yeah, I think Derek Moore.
and then he said it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Edge from Derek Moore said
He said
Penn State.
Penn State, 100%. Kalen Black said Ohio State.
Okay. Kalen Black said
And-
Ohio State.
And Jennings Dunker said Penn State. We are fantastic. Fantastic.
With Singleton, I didn't know this. He broke his foot at the Senior Bowl. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
We got an interview with him. I wonder if it was broken then.
I mean, that's tough, man.
Wait,
Josh.
did y'all break his foot?
Huh?
Did Tim break his foot?
I think he did. I mean, he had a cool moment. He was actually telling us about how Saquon Barkley took time with him and Katron Allen, kind of took him out to just work out and just having that time with Saquon Barkley was how cool it was. That was cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he touched
Big
on that. That was neat.
Big Sean asks thoughts on wide receiver Josh Cameron.
Big hands. Guy caught everything that was in his radius. I mean, he definitely put on some weight from season, and there was a lot of people talking about that to see how his routes would be adjusted because of that. Didn't look like he lost much, and everything that was in his vicinity, in his catch radius, those big mitts, he was snagging them.
Yeah, I think he owned his vicinity down there at Senior Bowl. I think definitely going back to watch more on Cameron. But moving right along, man. I want to get into let's see, some defensive players. I think if you're talking about the edge players, T.J. Parker, edge from Clemson, Derek Moore from Michigan, we talked about. Zion Young, this guy had a great week of practice. He didn't sit out. He also played the game. Those are some of the top edges that are being talked about. The one that is, buzzing
One that caught Gail's attention.
is, I said Nadame Tucker. He quickly corrected me and said Nadame Tucker. And I was like looking, obviously when I'm doing these interviews, I'm like, make sure I get the pronunciation right. And I'm looking online, it says Nadame. And I seen someone else say Nadame. So Nadame Tucker had a crazy story from Harlem, Western Michigan. He goes to like 2 junior colleges. He went to community college, and then he ends up at Houston. No stats. Doesn't put up hardly any stats. He transfers to Western Michigan, becomes the MAC Player of the Year. Even Quinyon Mitchell was not MAC Player of the Year. Just saying. So Nadame Tucker, pretty explosive, pretty feisty. He was a guy that I was pretty high on all week. But
Well, the one thing that somebody threw out to me about Nadame Tucker was he had a fantastic year. Fantastic. I had to say it. He had a great year, and most of his high-level games came against Power 5 schools, even though he was playing in the MAC. So he put up a lot of solid statistics against some big-name talent. So that was a piece to really pay attention to.
Nice pull. I remember someone saying that stat in the crowd.
It was I forget his name. Was it Jack from USC?
Yeah, Jack. Jack. That was a good recovery right there. Speaking of recovery, shout out to Recover 180, Sports Hydration 180. I'm telling you, if you haven't got your Recover, make sure you get your Recover today. This one, I am drinking Rocket Pop. Rocket Pop has become my new flavor. I don't know if you want to try it. It's I think you do want to try it. But Recover 180 is the only organic sports hydration on the market, and we're excited to partner up. So y'all know Recover 180 has 0 sugar added, 20 calories, 2 carbs, use USDA organic coconut water. Make sure you hit them up at Drink Recover, #hydrate better. Okay? Hydrate better. Think about underdog prospects. Underdog out there that you feel like isn't getting enough love from the media, a guy that you feel like needs to get some more your underdog performance from the Senior Bowl week.
I mean, I think for me, the guy we touched on a couple of guys that we touched on were the guys from Arkansas, the running back, Mike Washington and Taylor Green. I think they both showed their potential and moved up a lot of people's draft boards.
Okay. What about you, Tim?
The one guy that caught my eye consistently that I really liked was Jamari Taylor out of Virginia. I said it to you. I just liked it. I liked what he was doing. You know what I mean? He ran hard, found spots, quick muscles, twitch him in between the tackles and guards. He was moving. He was cooking, and he would pop right back up. I know size was a question for him. I didn't see that being that much of a deterrent.
My underdog obviously goes to Tyron Montgomery. When you're a D3 wide receiver with only 2 years of experience, and going out there and balling like he did, he's my underdog performance from the Senior Bowl week. Great story. I think all the scouts loved it. But shout out to Underdog, man. Football's biggest game is right around the corner, and you can get in on all the action with Underdog. Not on Underdog yet? Then you're in luck, because new customers score $75 of fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just head to the app, make picks on a player. We'll go higher or lower or stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. If you get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Thinking about a higher or lower play. Let's say touchdowns. May against Seattle. Higher or lower than 3 for the big game.
Lower.
Lower than 3.
I think he's at 2 specifically, or yeah, just in specific. I think he has 2 passing TDs.
Okay. All right. What about let's see, JSN passing touchdowns? I mean, receiving touchdowns. Higher or lower than 1?
I think higher.
Higher.
Yeah.
What about Mr. Parker? It's Parker, right? Running back, Seattle.
Walker.
K9.
Kenneth Walker from Michigan State.
Higher or lower 1 touchdown versus Seattle. I mean, versus the Patriots.
I was going to say 1 touchdown for Seattle. That'd be a feat in and of itself.
1 running touchdown for Walker.
Against the Patriots. I could see him going over.
I say higher. I think he gets 2. I think he gets 2 scores against the Patriots. He is a slithering guy. Call him Slytherin, House Slytherin. But anyway, what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use the promo code Jawn to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code Jawn. Underdog makes picks, win money, must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, New England, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and VA. President of state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web backslash play and get terms. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and PA. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. New York, call the 24/7 HOPEline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. And shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all, man, for the sticking around for the read, dude. You know, real ones. Shout out to Rich Atwood in the house. Hopefully you're doing well in this off season. This is our first podcast of the off season. It's very weird. You know, obviously we're talking strictly Nerd Central Senior Bowl content. Like, we're just getting you primed up for the draft season. It's going to be a long one. We got free agency coming. We got a whole bunch of podcasts coming, but obviously we are just getting started. Resident Oregonian says thoughts on Betcher. Is it Bocher? From Oregon. Very physical. He was getting spicy with it all weekend. Had a lot of tackles. He was all over the field. I mean, what say you guys about Bocher?
Yeah, I mean, he attacks downhill. I love that in a linebacker. So
the one thing that I liked from Bocher big for me was the response of the teammates. Him as the middle linebacker, he kind of took control. Mm-hmm. And when he took control, everybody, you were worried about what the body language is, who's going to respond to him. And it seemed like the team saw him as a leader. They locked in. As soon as he started giving calls and everything like that, they were very responsive. So from a leader perspective, that was impressive.
Also, shout out to linebacker Mr. Rodriguez from Texas Tech. Rodriguez was making plays all over the field in coverage. I thought he, did a great job out there. Also, Kyle Lewis from Pitt, undersized. He showed a lot of quickness out there, showed his speed in these one-on-one drills. At the next level, I want to see him take some contact, see how he does it with that. But overall, when you look at guys like that, mid-round linebackers that you're hoping you can get your next Jeremiah Trotter, which is very interesting. As I say that, I just watched.
Got another D-tackle prospect to throw out there too.
Another what? Defensive tackle?
Another D-tackle prospect.
From Texas Tech?
No, from
Florida
State.
Florida State. Go ahead. Oh, you're good. Say it again.
Mr. Darrell Jackson, who finished up his practice and everything at the Shrine Bowl, hopped a plane out to Mobile, and made an instant impact in his drills, running over some offensive linemen, and had a good solid week there. So.
Big Perk asks about TJ Parker. I think TJ Parker, I thought, I don't think he had the season that he wanted, regular season, but I think Senior Bowl coming down here, showing his dominance, his that play where he extends his arm and he lifts I forget which tackle it was, but he literally put him in the air, showing off that power. So TJ Parker, I think he did himself some I was gonna say disservice, but that didn't make sense.
Made some money.
He made himself some money.
Okay.
So Big Perk was also talking about he wanted to see Derek Moore. We got that interview. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel. You can see the interview with Derek Moore. But as we move on, there's a couple more guys we want to highlight. I'd say Lee Hunter from defensive tech from Texas Tech was pretty dominant. He ended up sitting out the game. Caleb Banks, DT from Florida. I thought those two guys showcased their skill set. Any other DTs you want to call out besides your own FSU? Seminoles.
Oh gosh. Nah, I think you covered the other ones I was going to cover.
Honorable mentions: Rayshawn Benny from Michigan. Let's see, Grayson Holton from Oklahoma. Corners, I think Ephesians Prysock from Washington. There's a lot of big corners down there. Good sized corners down there. I say that, and then I talk about Chandler Rivers, 5'9", Avonte Maddox type. You know, if you're looking for a smaller corner, feisty, he's the guy. We talked about Igbenogson. Bud Clark, safety from TSU. What do you guys think about Bud Clark?
He had a solid week. I mean, had some good hits and on the receivers and all. So
I definitely like Bud Clark's physicality. Definitely not afraid to come down in the box. You could tell that he'll be somebody that if you throw him into that, he's not built like that, but if you throw him into the box, I think he can step in there and show what he can do.
Two other players at the safety position to just go check out, because we're all going to come together in a couple weeks and talk about the prospects we like. If there's prospects you like, shoot me a DM. Let me know who you're looking at so I can go look at them. Jalen Kilgore from safety from South Carolina, and VJ Payne from Kansas State, big safety, super lengthy. And even kicker out there from Iowa, Drew Stevens. So no one's safe, even Jake Elliott. So check out Drew Stevens. I believe he banged a 50-yarder down there at the game. But I think any other players that stand out to you that anything you need to get off your chest before we get out of here?
I mean, I'd throw another DB out there Dalen Everett from Georgia.
Okay.
Good safety prospect.
Jalen Everett. Okay.
Dalen with a D.
Yep. One player I'm going to look more into, Jamari Taylor, who I just really didn't watch him because I've just, from an ADD perspective, just all over the place. But I was just hearing from other people saying he is a Sproles type that you need to look into. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to go watch more of him. And there's so many people to actually look at. Shout out to the Senior Bowl. Shout out to Molly and her crew. I think they do a fantastic job putting everything together. And there's a lot of media members to deal with on that day. Shout out to the city of Mobile. Again, it's been like a home away from home, sort of. Food, the food.
Especially the poor boys at Winsel's.
Food is, I'm going to say the F word, fantastic. Food is so good. When I come home, it's like everything is trash. Nothing is.
When the waitress walks in and sees your face and lights up and says, "I was wondering when I was going to see you," that's how you can say it's a home away from home, which happened at R&R for Mr. Gail Saunders.
Hey, they at R&R restaurant. If you're in Mobile, the crawfish, the bread pudding, the dirty rice, everything is banging. We had the meat sweats. Yeah, it is phenomenal. I would go there just for the food.
It's fantastic.
I was going to say I don't think I've ever had a bad meal in Mobile.
Yeah, you think it's I used to before I went to the Senior Bowl, I would listen to a lot of draft podcasts and listen to every draft scout talk about the food. And I would get annoyed. I would be like, "What are you guys talking about this food, dude? Just give me the prospects. I don't care what restaurant you went to." But now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know. I think it's part of the trip. It's an opportunity. Again, that's how we met Dom. We all of us. You meet all these people all over the scouting community. You make a lot of good connections. You network. You go out to eat. you have a drink. Next thing you know, you look over and there's your favorite beat reporter right next to you. There's so many people down there. I can't even tell you how many. You look over to your right, and someone bumps you. Like, oh, that's Drew Rosenhaus. Okay. And then you look to your left, and oh, there's Big Dom. And then Dom said, before I get out of here, I need a picture with Big Dom. So
Yep.
Dom got a picture
We
with
made
Big
it
Dom.
happen.
So overall the experience was great. Well, before we get out of here, say it with your chest. What was your favorite moment from the Senior Bowl week?
For me, watching them practice and just reconnecting with like you guys and just everybody that I'd connected with over the years. I mean, this is year 5, I think, for me. So it's
Year
a
5.
lot of people, like 4 or 5, yeah.
Dude.
Like right after COVID, I started going.
Yeah, I think it's year 5 for me. I think Tim, what was your best moment from the Senior Bowl?
I kind of have to piggyback because there's so many plays you can say on the field, but the biggest thing for me was I'm a nerd of this game. And when you talk to some people, you recognize their level. And you know what I mean? And you kind of stifle down your conversation. So let's say that with just your average fan. Not saying they don't know the game, but they don't watch it from a certain set of eyes. Being there with everybody there you talk to who has the same perspective as you, and they're like, what did you think about his feet? What did you think about this? And all the nerd stuff, that was the most enjoyment I've had talking football with people, because everywhere I turned, it was, what did you watch that? Did you see that? Did you see that? And it's all the pieces that I love discussing that I don't mind when people aren't in it as much. It doesn't bother me if that's not their wheelhouse, not one bit, but being able to have that opportunity to chop it up and talk. And the food was pretty great.
My best moment from the Senior Bowl is probably going to be, it's a lot to like. I think just the camaraderie. I think, like you said, the football conversation. I talked to every up and coming reporter or any person that does content. I encourage them to go down to the Senior Bowl because it's a different level of. If you want to see the people that are really working in the community, doing the work, doing the the stuff that nobody wants to figure out about these prospects, and just read it on an article or something. There's people that are really doing the work, that are setting the draft boards, they're creating content around what they see. And you get to meet them firsthand and shake their hand, and a lot of respectable draft people. Shout out to a lot of my former coworkers at NBC Sports. A lot of them I was running into down there. There's a lot of great draft analysts. But shout out to Marcus. Is glad you guys had a fantastic time. Can't wait to start doing more mock drafts and getting ready for the draft. But shout out to you guys in the comments for sticking with us. Shout out to Evan, Prime, and Tim. We're still having our sabbatical. Obviously we're not in the Super Bowl, so there's a little depression there, obviously. But we're gonna get back to it next week with some content, talk about some of the coaching, the OC moves, and such. We're not gonna talk about the rumors of Fangio not coming back, because he's coming back. But before we get out of here, shout out to Recover 180. Shout out to Red Bull for giving our tailgate wings all season long. Shout out to Bud Light for holding us down all these years. We're staying crooked with Crooked Tea. Shout out to Brandon Graham. Not only a player, but a sponsor. Also, shout out to Lowski Entertainment. Still DJing parties, so if you need somebody out there, make sure you hit up Lowski Entertainment. Only Lowski on Instagram. Shout out to Ellie's Pizza. Get yourself a slice out there in Lindenwood, New Jersey. Also, shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Before we get out of here, last word. We'll start with you, Dom. Let everyone know where they can find you and all your great work.
This bottom line ticker has been saying, doing scouting work with the NFL Draft Bible. You can find me on Twitter at Dom Ambrose 10, and usually at most of the sporting events throughout getting ready for draft season, whether it be a CGS All-Star game or the Senior Bowl or wherever the case may be.
Will you be at the Combine this year?
Yeah.
This guy. I might have to join you. I might have to hold some. You need an intern? I got you, man. But we appreciate you. Tim, last word before we get out of here.
Dom, it's fantastic meeting you down there.
As well.
So I had a great time getting to see the whole situation and what it's all about and link up with everybody. I enjoyed every minute of it, and this is the final game of the year this weekend. So then we switch gears, and it's the off season for everybody. So all these pieces that we are starting to look at, everybody's going to start looking at as well. And as an Eagles fan base, we can see what we need to fill, and we can start working on all of our mock drafts like the crazy people we are. And as always, go Birds.
Once again, shout out to Dom for stopping on the pod and chopping it up with us. Appreciate you.
Well,
Always a good time. Just talk ball with you. Let's make it 20 years. Let's make it a 20-year run at the Senior Bowl. Keep up the history. Shout out to you guys in the comments. And if you guys have any prospects you want us to look at, if you want us to get some interviews with some of these players, we will be doing our series as usual. Talk the prospect. We will be trying to get some prospects for interviews, so you guys can actually talk and ask questions to them as well. But as always, it's fly Eagles fly, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Birds.
Big time.